Yes, we are. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some exciting discussion today. We have one of the busiest persons in the world with us today. We've been trying to do this episode for like 3 years.
Ah,
Either I'm not available or she's not available. But
okay, I'm
today,
trying my best.
today we finally caught up, and I'm certain that it's going to be a very um, interesting one. I have been looking forward to this for a long time, and it's one of those aspects of the whole, I would say, industry that has really piqued my interest. So finally, I get to ask questions that have really been bothering me about what she does and how what she does helps with the whole picture that we're trying to paint. So today we have Funmi, and we'll allow her, introduce herself as she deems fit and give herself flowers. As you said, when you're alive, give yourself flower. So,
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Shiv. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. Thank you for inviting me. So I'm not so good at giving myself flowers, but so I'm Funmi Omoliki. An Azure Data and AI specialist at Microsoft. So my role involves working with various organizations to help them leverage their data. So think about all the buzz around data and AI. Today, everybody talking about ChatGPT, people talking about data is the new currency. So my role really is to sit down with all of these organizations and just say, how can we help you leverage that data asset that you have? How can we help you leverage all of these AI conversations to actually advance your own product innovation? So that's my role in a nutshell.
so before we jump into your role, your present role,
Mm-hmm.
can you discuss how you got to this point, like what you studied for undergrad, if you have masters, if you have MBA? I know you have MBA, but
Yeah.
people don't know. People don't know. So tell us how you got to this point and tell us what were the motivations that inspired you to get to want to do something in tech.
Yeah. So let me see. My motivation for tech. So I studied engineering. I studied elect engineering back home in Nigeria. I went to Covenant University. So growing up, I remember growing up when I was in high school, right? Secondary school, as we call it back home. I always thought I was going to be a doctor, like a million or 2 million other Nigerian kids, right?
I can say that for
But
you. I can say that.
when I got to senior secondary school, like SS1, and I started doing like biology, I just knew that I couldn't be a doctor. Like I hated biology class. Like
So
I
so that's so senior secondary school is the equivalent of high school in the
Yeah,
US. Yeah.
exactly, right? So I hated biology class, but I loved physics, right? I wasn't really a fan of chemistry, but I loved physics and I loved mathematics. So in a way, I realized I wasn't going to be a doctor at this rate. And then my dad is also an engineer. So my dad, before he retired, he was into design and construction of dams. So I got to actually see him work and just like watching his team several times, thinking about the way like sometimes they'll come home, we work and they're like doing design, they're talking about different issues and how they can address something. So just having them around growing up got me interested in engineering. Like, okay, how do we actually use technology to solve problems for the society? So it was easy for me to decide like what I was gonna do when I realized I wasn't going to be a medical doctor. So yeah, so that's how I actually got into the technology part. So I went to Covenant, got my degree. When I was in towards the end of school, 400 level. So I took this class that was being taught by a professor that actually worked within the telecom industry in Germany before he came back to Nigeria to give back. And it just really got me interested in telecoms. Like his classes were like so interesting, just talking about the telecom industry, the growth, the trends, the technologies behind communications. So it got me interested. So when it was time for me to do my undergrad internship, I wanted to work in the telco space. Fortunately, I got to work at Nokia Siemens. I think it's just called Nokia. So I did my internship there after school, got to work at Ericsson, and then I got to move to another telco company. So So in a way, I feel like I've always been in tech. I've been in that space for a long time. I've just done like a different kind of technology. I know a lot of people don't think about telecom industry when they think about tech, but the conversations you have are powered by technology that are built by
Yes.
those guys.
Mm.
So yeah, so I would say my background and the people I had around me growing up got me interested in actually working in the technology space.
Yeah. So you moved from that. So what made you transition to studying MBA?
Oh
Because yeah.
yeah, so MBA. So let me see. Going back to my journey, right? So I worked in telecom industry in Nigeria for like 4 years, right? Within that 4 years, I worked as an engineer. I moved into an executive assistant role where I actually worked on an acquisition project. From there, I then moved to work as a product manager slash market analyst, right, for a startup company. So I did that last role for like a year or two or so.
Mm,
At that point in time, I said, okay, now I'm no longer like hands-on engineer. Now I'm more on the business side of tech, right? Business side of telecoms. It probably makes sense for me to go actually learn what business is. My background is engineering, right? I knew nothing about what I was doing. Like everything I was doing there was me learning and talking to people. So I
mm,
just thought, okay, MBA is a good way for me to actually go to school and learn from people who have done this thing before, right? Like
mm,
people get some international experience that will actually be hands-on in addition to what I was already getting in Nigeria. So that's how I decided to go for MBA. And fortunately, I had some interesting colleagues at work that were also on the MBA path. So it was good to have them around, like study together, get their perspective, prepare for interviews and applications together. So yeah, that's how I transitioned from my job then into MBA, and then coming to the US to do my MBA opened me up to like opportunities to recruit with tech companies there in the US. So I actually joined Microsoft. I did my MBA internship at Microsoft. I was a product marketing manager, which was closely aligned to my last role in Nigeria, right? Which had a lot to do with market analysis and product management. So it
mm.
was fun times. But also I think I quickly realized plus some other things that happened in my life then that okay, this wasn't like this wasn't ideal for me. So yeah, so MBA wrapped up, moved into sales, and I've been in sales for like 3.5 years now. So now I work as a sales engineer at Microsoft.
Thank
Like,
you for diving smoothly into our main topic today.
yeah.
I've always seen myself as someone who would not thrive in sales and marketing. If you put me in sales, because I think one of my fears is where my salary will be tied towards what I sell, or what do you call it? What do you call that?
To quota or target.
Yeah, targets. Yes, that's gonna give me sleepless nights. I just
Yeah.
want to work, give my constant input and my constant salary home. I don't want a situation where they say, "Oh, your salary is based on how much you bring into the company. So if you bring in $0, then zero money." So tell me how that experience has been for you, knowing your background in engineering and having to change your outlook, because the general saying is that a lot of engineers do not know how to I would say not interact, but know how to like mix with the outside world. They just want to be in their own cubicle, writing codes or solving problems behind doors, or at the background.
Yeah.
And yeah, but now you are a sales engineer, so to speak, where you have to like present things, convince people to want to buy into your idea. So how has that been for you? That experience been for you?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that question. So I can totally relate, right? Like if someone had asked me, I've done this job for almost 4 years now, right? If someone had asked me like 5, 6 years ago, like, oh, for me go into sales, or you're gonna be doing like sales in the next 2 years, and I say, hell no. And it's not like I never wanted to do sales, right? So I had this when I was in my internship at Nokia Siemens in Nigeria. There was this lady who was the head of sales team at Nokia since then, and I just really loved that. Like, she just really inspired me, and she's still in sales now, by the way. But she's doing awesome, like amazing woman. You probably would know her if I mention her name. So I used to watch her from afar. I knew that at some point I would love to do sales, but for me, it was like I don't think I would enjoy it. I see myself as an introvert, so I'm not that kind of person that constantly wants to be in front of people. But I also knew that it was an experience or a skill that was necessary. So I was planning to get to that some point. But for me, it was like something that'll be down the line, like maybe 5 years, 6 years from like 2017, right, when I decided to come to the US for my MBA. So when I actually got the sales job, I was petrified. I was just like, God, I'm not sure I'm ready for this, right? I don't think I want to sell. This is my first stint in corporate America outside of my internship, right? Like, I didn't want to like go into corporate America as a salesperson. So I was actually petrified. But over time, I just learned that when it comes to sales, yes, you may not have that business experience. You may be coming with your engineering experience, right? But if you're doing sales technology, your engineering experience actually still counts because you're going to be learning a lot of tech quickly. So think about some of the things that I used to like talk to my customers about when I joined Microsoft 3.5 years ago. They're almost extinct now because Microsoft is constantly innovating and constantly adding new features. So that means your ability to assimilate new technology quickly is very important. I'll say that also, just also, there's something I read in a book where the person said, remember that all of these people that you're meeting, they're also just people. They're people like you. And I think that has helped me when I show up on those calls. Like, yes, I might be an introvert or I might be this kind of person that I never would have thought I'll be selling. But at the end of the day, these are interactions with other human beings like me. So show up there, empathize with them, understand what they're trying to achieve, and find a way to help them to get to their destination based on a combination of your own resources, whether it's people resources, whether it's funding from Microsoft, or whether it's you thinking about, okay, what technologies do you want to use? And I'll say that MBA also really helped me. So if I don't even think it's just MBA, just if you're schooled in America, you know that getting a job is a lot of networking, the same as Nigeria, right? But MBA, we had all of these networking events where they would create like mock sessions for us to like go around, talk to each other. And even also during recruitment, right? We had to like go talk to recruiters, reach out to people on LinkedIn. So basically it's almost that same skill, that skill that I had to like nurture during MBA is really handy for me now because now I have to do a lot of prospective means. I'm reaching out to executives I've never spoken to before. So it's a lot of cold calling, right?
Mm.
I get on calls and I have to like build rapport with people I've never met before, which as a shy person, I would say as a shy introvert, that was like a big deal. But I got to nurture that skill there in MBA too. And when it comes to like even meeting them in person, right? Like all of those networking events that we had in school, whether it was the practice event or the real ones, right? All of those actually helped me to get more comfortable like speaking to people, approaching them. So I would say, even though I have an engineering background and my personality itself is not exactly the extroverted type, a combination of my skill as an engineer and things I learned in school and me just knowing that you have this job already, you can't afford to screw up, right? So
Yeah.
just
Mm.
get it done. And
Mm.
has been really helpful. So I think when I think of my role, right, I know people ask me this a lot, like, oh, do I need to have like a very technical background to do this? I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't see myself as a very technical person, and I've seen other people in my role that have no engineering background, right? But they're just like willing to learn. They're nice people. They really want to help, and that has just really made them successful. So they're like reading up on things, and when they're stuck, they're reaching out to people, and they're also able to like communicate to their customers and really just understand what they are trying to solve within their organizations.
Mm. So, for our listeners out there, I don't like false advertisements. This young lady is not introverted. When you see her speak, when you meet her, there's no way you will say she's an introvert because when she starts talking about things she knows, you'll be like, okay, I need to go back to school. But anyways, let's move to the next aspect. So for me, I see myself as a CEO of a company,
Whoop, whoop,
right? I have a product. No, for this podcast. Relax for this podcast. So I have a product that I want to push out there, and I come to meet you as a salesperson. How do you help me push my product out there? How do you assist me in achieving that?
Mm. How do I help you to push your product out there?
Yes.
So I'll say, so my default way of thinking about product and technology is to start from the problem, right? Just and that's just because of where I sit in the sales process. But let's say I'm working with you as a CEO, as a founder, you have this product. For me to help you push your product out there, I need to understand what exactly what's your own vision for that product? What made you think of that product? What problems are you trying to solve with it, right? That's like
Mm-hmm.
thinking about your value prop, how you like compare to your competitors. I like to understand what your roadmap is because I see there's some products that I think are just features that should be built into something instead of actually founding a company around them. So I'd like to really understand that. Understand, okay, what's your target market, right? Is it like individuals? Like, are you doing B2B? Is it B2C? If it's B2B, what's the space? Is it enterprise? Is it like small, medium scale? Like really understanding all of those things. So once I get a good picture, a good understanding of okay, what you're trying to solve and why you created it and what you have planned in the future, as if I'm working with you as your, let's say your VP of sales, for instance, I can then go out there and actually start reaching out to these like target customers, right? People who I believe there's a need they have within their company. I'm not for there's something Satya says. It says we're not creating technology for the sake of technology, right?
Mm.
For me as a salesperson, I'm not just selling for the sake of selling. At the end of the day, what brings me joy is approaching a company, an individual within a company, understanding, talking to them about their challenges. Where do you want to be? Some people are like, oh, I'm trying to like increase revenue. Some people are saying I'm trying to cut down cost, right? Which of course will increase your revenue in a way. Some people are saying, no, I just want to improve my processes. So me understanding that all of those issues where you want to be your North Star, my goal then is to map it to the technology or the product that she has bought. So that way I sell, I'm happy, I'm making my money. At the same time, this person who is buying it is also like getting value from it. So for me, that's like a win-win situation. I think the world has moved past where you just like sell things to people and run away, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Technology now is a lot of solution selling, which means there's subscription model, right? You're not just selling licenses and running away. You need to like get them hooked on your product and make sure they continue consuming your product because if not, you sell once, you make money, but then you die, right? Because you're not
Mm.
adding any value. So yeah, that's the way I'll think about selling your product if I were in a position to, help you go to market.
Okay. So, how does a typical day look like for you? Say you are a VP for my company. How do you think, or how right now? Just let's map it. I would say, let's be flexible. Let's map your experience right now, in the past and now, to you being a VP of my company. How would your day to day be, or how
Okay.
would it look like?
That sounds like an interview question. So what I'll do is I'll tell you what my day to day is like right now. You get right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a VP of sales somewhere. So my day to day now, I'll say every day is not the same, right? Because one thing I love about sales is it gives you a lot of autonomy, right? At the beginning of the fiscal year, I get my quota, I get my customers. I'm fortunate to have my customers, right? Because I know people who work for other companies that they don't give them customers, they just give them territories. So I'm based in North Carolina. They'll say, oh, North Carolina and Georgia is your territory, right? Like go forth and prosper. So that means you go look for your customers, you sell to them, right? So I'm privileged to work for a company where I'm not just given a territory in terms of like land mass, I'm actually given like accounts, but it's still up to me to like nurture relationships, like look for people within those companies, nurture the relationship with them, understand their priorities, and just really go through the sales process with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my job, my day to day involves a lot of meetings. So it's either I'm like meeting with my customers on all of these things, like what are you trying to do, or maybe there's a project going on that I'm trying to project manage or program manage. Sometimes it's me actually meeting with even internal folks within Microsoft, right? So it could be with the rest of the account team that also support this customer. It could be with the engineering team that are probably going to help me on the project I'm working on with the customer. So I would say my everyday it's a lot of calls with internal and external stakeholders. There's also the part where you have to constantly train. I actually have a training due this month that I've not gotten to. So there's a part where you have to like constantly read on what's new, so that way when you get in front of these companies, right? Like for me, so that at least I know what's the latest, and know what I can tell them about what Microsoft is doing. So every day is a lot of calls and also a lot of strategizing. I think one part of sales that people don't understand is the amount of data you have to process. So at the beginning of the fiscal year, they give you this account, right? You still need to like go into each company to say, okay, we call it white space analysis. So that means you try to understand what do they have deployed today in terms of like their technology stack. You also have to like go through like what's online about them. So what are they saying on their website that their products are about? What are they saying in their annual reports, their quarterly earnings? You need to think about all of those things. You need to follow them like constantly. Like, are they acquiring new company? Are they divesting? So it's a lot of data that you have to like bring together to be able
Mm,
to crystallize, okay, what value can I actually bring to this company? So this is
mm,
outside of the calls you have with your customer, outside of the calls you have with your internal stakeholders, outside of the trainings you need to do so that you're sound technology wise. You still need to constantly like do all of this kind of reading on your customers. And you're not doing it just once, right? Because they are changing, you are changing, everybody's like trying to be better at what they do. And you also just want to be up to date on them. So it's a lot of constantly processing data, analyzing, like re-strategizing, because you could start a fiscal year and you're thinking, okay, this is my understanding of the value of that I can bring to this customer. And then you have like this economic crisis we're having, right? And everything that's changing is that everybody's trying to like reduce costs. Like
yeah.
that itself is changing. You're not just changing your strategy, they're changing their strategy. So you need to align and be like, okay, how can I add value in this current economic climate? You know?
Mm,
So
mm,
it's constantly just rethinking and making sure that you're able to like help the customers you're assigned to.
mm. So let's say go into this particular part that I find. I mean, I think I've asked you this question
Yeah.
before.
Mm-hmm.
Two questions. How do you um, how do you show that you're different from your competitors? That you put, I mean, there's no, how would I put it? There's no idea that's just in isolation. People are doing similar things across board all over the world. But how do you, as a salesperson, convince your future and your current clients that the services and product that you offer are better? Maybe not better, but how do you convince them to stay with you?
Yeah. So for me, I actually don't lead conversations with competitors like, oh, this is what I do, this is what my customer does, right? It's not a conversation I lead with. My conversations always starts with what are you trying to achieve? What value are you trying to unlock? And then we work backwards from there. And then if at some point you say, okay, yeah, this is what we're trying to do, but I'm also looking at so customer, right? Or so technology provider, right? Then we start having conversation on, okay, why you should actually consider us over this other technology company. And when it comes to these comparisons, right? I know sometimes you meet with some organizations and they just want to like stick with like cost, like, oh, this person is cheaper here
Yes.
or that person is cheaper there. Like technology itself, like it's easy you can make a decision based on cost, right? But you also have to like step back a bit and really ask yourself, okay, what's your own tech strategy? So I'm in data and AI, right? The question is, what's a data strategy? What are you trying to do? Because when you step back and think about your data strategy, you could at that point you could actually realize that, oh, I can go for this technology provider for this particular business need I'm trying to meet, right? But does it align with the rest of my strategy? Because that other provider may not have something that would be a perfect fit for the remainder of what you're hoping to achieve. So typically I don't go in just talking about, oh, my competitor is doing and why you should buy me based on like cost and value of cost and this particular feature or capability. It's like we have to look at the broader picture. What are we trying to do here? And you see some customers that the reason why they would decide to go with the other person has nothing to do with my own company's capability, right? Sometimes it's they're already heavily invested in this other competitor, right? And it makes sense. Like I'd like to put myself in my customer's shoes. So if I'm talking with a CIO, for instance, and for some reason they decided to be heavily invested in the other competitor, right? If it doesn't make sense for them to bring me in, I can live with that, because if I were in their shoes, I probably will make the same decision, right?
Right,
The
right, right.
salesperson that can decide to keep pushing, which there's nothing wrong with that, right? Just depends on what makes sense to you and what value you think doing that will bring to the customer, right? But it's beyond just doing competitor analysis. It's like stepping back a bit and saying, okay, what's my customer trying to do? How can I get them there? And the thing is, this almost sounds like a Microsoft advert, right? But the thing about Microsoft is Microsoft has been around for a long time and we do a lot of things. So my data and AI product sits within Azure, right? There's a 365, which that's where all the Office and the Excels and the Teams and all of those,
Yeah,
right?
suits. Yeah.
Then there is the Biz apps, with that houses all of the Power Platform, which is your Power Apps, your Power Automates, the Dynamics, right? So because of that broad product base, we do a lot of things, and stepping back could mean that, okay, I don't want to have multiple providers. I'm already using Microsoft here. I don't want to like use this other company there. I want to have this cohesive IT technology stack, so that way I'm going to just stick with Microsoft. And we do a lot of great things, but at the end of the day, companies make a decision on which is which just based on what they're trying to achieve.
So I have one very funny question for you.
Yeah.
So you've gone to do your job, you've gotten a client, you are like, okay, this is like one of my top clients. I've killed this, like we are on good terms. And something happens
Mm-hmm.
with the customer support.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that wall, that stumbling block where you've had this customer maybe for a few years and
Yeah.
trying to like build strong
Yeah.
relationship with them? I think I've asked you this question before, but
Yeah.
customer support does something that like they come and say, nope, we need to leave your company because you guys are not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe not like I don't do the right things, but something just happened that yeah, and
Yeah.
your VP is shouting on your head like, what have you guys done?
Well, so I'm not on the customer support side. So customer support is typically post sales and pre sales. But of course, if
Yes.
something happens
So
post sales.
so yeah. I mean, like after you've done your
Yeah.
pre-sales,
Yeah.
you've done your job, and you now pass it on to the customer
Yeah.
support, and you
Yes.
now do something. Yeah.
So I think for me, right, and this is what people at Microsoft do generally, is this is where your people skills will come. Because when someone is angry, it's probably not the time for you to start pointing, oh, but you didn't do this right, like you didn't architect your environment well. When we told you to deploy the security tool, you did not do it.
Yep.
Or like it's probably not the time to start having those conversations. So I think this is where the people element just comes to. Like it's time to empathize with them, right? To really say, okay, I get it. This happened. You have every right to be angry. I probably would be angry if I were in your case too, right? So it's really just listening and trying to manage the situation. Some cases, there are probably customers that even with all of the management and they still decided to leave. But if it's a customer that you've nurtured a relationship with, right? They already see you as a partner and not a vendor, you know, they probably will want to find a way to work with you to move forward.
That
So
makes sense. That
yeah, so
makes
it
sense.
also depends on, because if it's a customer that just sees as a vendor, they probably would not want to listen to you, right? They just yeah, shut it down. We're moving. But it's like think about your own relationships, right? You have this friend. If your friend does something to hurt you, you most likely want to listen to your friend than just walk away from it and be like, I'm cutting this cord, burning this bridge. We're never gonna talk again. So yeah, relationship is very important. Yeah, it's important.
Okay, so as I said, I'm a CEO and I want to hire a sales VP. What are the skills or what are the things I need to watch out for in picking someone?
I think it's so. Let me see. Skills. I would say you want someone, their people skills is important, definitely. You want someone that is empathetic and
Mm-hmm.
kind, because selling to any company or person requires empathy. So you want someone that's empathetic. You want someone that has a growth mindset, which means that they're willing to learn, they're willing to pivot quickly if a strategy is not working or if the economy itself is just changing. You want someone that can collaborate with other people, because sales is a lot of, and depending on the size of the company, you most likely have to work with several people. It's not even just your own company, right? So I would say collaboration is important, because the other company you want to sell to, this is me assuming it's a B2B, then maybe several people across the organization that you need to engage. So I'll think about, for my customers, sometimes I have to speak with the CIO. The CIO will be like, oh, I'm excited about this. Go work with the VP for so, so, so. You get the VP will be like, oh, yeah, this is great and all. I'm going to assign this person on my team to work with the architect from your side. So you realize that even though the vision started from the CIO, right, you're already having to like talk to several people within the organization, and that means you need to like nurture relationship. You need to still get their own buy-in. They still need to like what you're selling. They need to feel they can trust you as a technical advisor. So a VP of sales needs to have that collaboration skills too. So I would say, if I were to rank, I would say be a good communicator, be a good people person. So that means you're able to work with other people. Be empathetic. So be able to put yourself in other people's shoes, be able to step back and really listen to what people are trying to achieve and the challenges they're facing, and also have a growth mindset. So
I mean, good mindset is, to me,
yeah,
is important because we're trying to make money here. We're trying to make money, so you need to know how to grow the business. Okay, you're a black woman
mm-hmm,
and an immigrant.
mm-hmm.
What role does let me put it this way: how does that affect the outlook? I mean, don't use Microsoft.
uh,
How does that affect how you see things?
how I see things. So when you say outlook, is it career prospect or how I just see things generally?
I would say in sales.
And so,
Yes.
hmm, let's see. I'm just thinking about my own experience as a black person in sales. I'll say my experience has been fairly good. Like I remember when I was joining, it was actually a concern. Like when I was moving into the sales role, I think I mentioned it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that made me petrified was the fact that I was a black person, like African, never really worked in corporate America apart from my internship, and I was
Yeah.
going to be liaising with people
Mm-hmm.
across different levels of the organization every day. I was scared and petrified, right? But now that I'm in it, right, I would say people people may have their biases when you get on a call or when they see you and you're trying to talk to them about something, but and this is where it goes back to building a relationship, right? It
Mm-hmm.
may, for some relationship building may come easy with them because you guys just hit it off quickly. You move to talking about what they're trying to do. You just have a good rapport. For some, it's probably gonna take a longer time because, well, they're dealing with their own things. They may have some biases that you're perceiving, but you're not sure. But just because of the job, you have to like keep at it, and hope that everybody has good intentions, right?
Mm.
So I would say, like, for me, that's been my approach and outlook to thinking about, okay, being a black woman in sales, a black woman, especially non-American in corporate America. In terms of career prospects, I would say I've had a good run in my working within Microsoft. So I've just been really privileged to have amazing people like teammates, managers, and also I can't really say that I can't. I think I can't say that being a black woman, has impacted my career growth. Others may not agree, but I think for me, it's been a smooth run, and I believe that there's so much ahead of me. I'm excited about the future.
Mm.
Yeah,
I'm going to charge you
yeah,
for this podcast because you've really advertised Microsoft. You're going to pay me after this. So the reason I asked that question is because my aunt, we went to buy a car.
yeah.
So immediately we entered, the front desk person directed us to a black person, and the black person is an immigrant too. He's
Yeah.
from the Caribbean, and so when we sat down, I was kind of conscious. I looked around. There was a table behind us,
Yeah.
a seat behind us where a Latina sat, and the people she was serving are from the Latin part of the world. So it felt like, okay, this culture is for this culture. So even I looked on my right left hand side, I saw a white man addressing a white family. So I kind of felt like maybe it's kind of something that salespeople do, where they try to marry cultures in such a way that it's easier to express yourselves, to be able to speak in maybe not in the same languages, but understand cultural aspects and understand how. For example, if you want to give a Yoruba woman or a Yoruba man something, you have to use your right hand and not left hand. So that kind of paints a clearer picture on what angle you want to go to. That's why I asked that question.
Yeah. So I don't know why that company did that, right? But like what crossed my mind when you were talking was trust, right? People want to buy from people they trust. And no car salesmen or car saleswomen, they already have this bad rap already. People think that, oh, they just want to like sell.
Yes, 100%.
You just
Yes.
want to sell, they don't care about you, right? So maybe if you're talking to someone that you feel looks like you, sounds like you, that probably will make you trust them quickly.
But someone like me, I already see it as a setup.
Yeah, so I get that. So there's also that part where it's I'm trying to remember the word that they use, right? It's not profiling, because I remember someone said it recently. When it's almost a situation whereby you're a new black employee, right? And then they assign you to a mentor that is black.
Yes,
So,
that
like,
happens a lot.
I know people don't like that, and I don't know why that company did what they did, right? But the what came to my mind when you're talking was, okay, it could be trust, right? They're trying to get your trust quickly. And car sales is not like this multi-month process, right? It's probably a decision that can be made in a couple of hours, in a couple of days. So they need to get your trust quickly,
Quickly,
as
yeah,
soon as possible. But I would say in my own world, right? There aren't so many black women in tech sales that I have met. One of them,
100%,
one of them.
100%.
So, so there's nobody. You can't be forming assigning me to black people.
You want to kill
That
me
means I
work.
won't be telling because so that maybe because I'm Nigerian, I rarely notice like, oh, who is black or who is white or who is like, who is non-American on calls. But there are some calls that I get and I'm like, oh wow, I'm actually the only black person. I'm also the only woman, right? So
Wow.
so it's a lot of getting on calls with like guys from different races and things like that. So yeah, I think it'll be hard for you to do that kind of profiling in tech industry.
Tech. Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's profiling in tech industry, right?
Um well, I would want to say yes to that without you expatiating on what you mean by
Okay,
yeah.
I'll give you like my favorite example
Yeah.
is hand wash soap.
Uh-huh.
Someone said, I mean, people experience it where
Yeah.
a white person puts their hand under the soap dispenser and dispenses soap. The black
Yeah.
person does the same thing and doesn't.
Oh,
Even up to facial recognition softwares and stuff.
oh yeah, so that's where we talk about AI and responsible AI, right? So
Yes.
it's when you say so when you say properly the tech industry, that's not really like, I think that's a different topic really. And I think
Yes, it is huge.
yeah, it's huge, right?
Mm.
So right now everybody's talking about OpenAI because of ChatGPT. So it's one of the conversations I have a lot. And a lot of the leaders across different organizations are asking, okay, how can I govern AI? How can I make sure it's doing the right thing? So people are very much conscious of responsible AI. They want to build AI models that are not, that are not racial in this
Yes.
way or just biased. So
Mm.
so it's a big problem. But I also think there's several companies now standing up to resolve it. I remember when I came to the US too, like then if I spoke to Alexa, it's Alexa not answer me. But now I can actually have a conversation with Alexa. I can have a conversation with Siri, and without it saying sorry, I can't hear you. So that for me, like as an individual, that for me is progress. That's companies like getting more data and making sure they're training these models to be able to like recognize people. And I know there's still a long way to go,
Yeah.
right? Because I was
Yes.
using a government app recently. I can't remember what I was trying to do. And the app had the capability, it had two options, like you upload your picture or you actually take a picture with the picture app. And this app kept on telling me I needed more lights, even when
Uh-huh.
standing
Yes.
in this.
Yes.
You get. So I
Yes.
get that there's still there's still a long way to go. Before we actually we retrain all of the AI models that already, they're already biased, and also
Mm-hmm.
build new ones that are good. There's a wrong way for us, but people and organizations are becoming more aware of responsible AI and how they can, make sure that it does what it's meant to do without
Yeah.
segregating some people in the economy.
Yeah. Interestingly, um, there's one lady, a Nigerian lady, that's really doing an extensive research on responsible AI and machine learning. I think I ran into her in 2019 on Netflix. I can't remember her name now. And that was because I did my master's thesis in machine learning. So I am very familiar with how that can be a huge problem, especially when you have your automobiles that are driving self-driving cars
Yeah.
or apps that you need to use. There's something I have to say now, but yeah, there's an immigration app that the United States government is using for the border, and I read somewhere that it's finding it difficult to recognize faces, to be able to even log on and apply for certain immigration benefits. So those things like is really huge, as you said.
Yeah.
That when we that were in tech, we need to push for those things, and also the black people of color, that we need to like push for those strategies so that we include everyone. We try to ensure that everyone is included because we don't want to leave people out.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why we black people need to use this. We need to use all these AI based applications more because if the more you use, the better the AI model gets, right?
Yes,
It's
yes.
retraining itself. So yeah.
I mean, trust is one of those big issues that we have
Mm.
in tech world. So my last question.
Yeah.
This has been a great podcast, great episode. My last question. I've asked everyone that's come on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Explain what you do to a 7-year-old.
Let's see. What do I do to a 7-year old? Let me think about. So
There's a gift, though.
I'm just thinking about it. I'll say, I help companies. I help them build cool things, right? They help them to build cool things using their data and technology. That's like,
so a 7-year-old know what data is. Auntie, please.
oh, yeah. I think so. I don't know about 7 year old when we're 7 year old. Please, those underestimate the 7 year olds that are being born nowadays. I mean, the ones that
Ah,
go in this world. Those people
okay.
do a lot. Like, yeah. So if I don't want to see data, I just help companies build cool things. That's all.
Okay, no
Yeah.
problem. You should just, I think I'll just say you're a salesperson. You sell tech products door to door. You knock on doors and say, "Do you want to buy this product? It will help you do this." And
But that would be lying because that's not what I do, right?
I mean, it's very similar to what you do. Going to go door
Ah,
to door, knock at doors, and say, "I sell this."
oh, I guess it's similar too. Yeah, I guess
See,
it's similar.
I'm helping everybody to be able to define what they do to 7-year-old. You
Yeah,
people are meant to just
I guess
just
it's
give me money.
yeah, I guess it's similar.
Mm. Anyways, remember to credit my account for Microsoft. I'm expecting a lot because, but this has been a very
Yeah.
nice episode, and hopefully we'll catch up more and have more discussions because I think I'm interested in what you do with AI now and chat
Mm.
GPT and the likes. I think we would have, I'll say, an extensive discussion next time we'll catch up.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And how is North Carolina?
It's good. It's good. It's getting warmer, so yeah.
So North Carolina gets cold?
Oh yeah, it gets cold.
Ah, wow.
It gets cold.
It's one of those places that I plan to like say live for like 6 months just to experience the
Yeah,
culture and
it,
but I don't like cold. I
it
don't like
gets. Oh
cold.
no, but it's not like it's to the south, right? So it's not like it gets like really cold, but it still gets cold.
Yeah, okay. No
Yeah.
problem. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate.
Uh,
Finally, we did this.
yeah.
Hallelujah. After 3 years, we
Uh,
did it. Joe, we did it. We
yeah.
did it, Joe.
Yep.
We did it. All
Uh,
right.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for the time and the opportunity.
Yeah, welcome.
All
Have a
right.
good one.
You too.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye. Bye.